Okay, everybody, we are back. Several hours has passed, and we've got this down to about 8 cups. So I'm going to go ahead and I got my tripod fixed back up, but I'm going to go ahead and set this up and filter this one more time. We're going to filter it into here, and then we are going to see if we can drop some gold out of it. So we'll be back at you once I get it filtered off a second time and we get ready to drop the gold. So back at you in a bit. Okay guys, I am staying downwind of this, or actually upwind of this, because it's got a really funky smell. It almost smells like, I remember when I was on a paint crew once, years and years and years ago. I think I was about 17. And that's what it reminds me of. It reminds me of a really strong oil-based paint. I actually have been wearing my mask while I was denoxing it. And just a funky smell. I don't want to be breathing it in. But anyway, we got it denoxed. I put some urea in it. It has a very kind of a funky consistency. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it out here for about an hour to cool off, and then I'm going to mix up some sodium metabisulfite, and we are going to do a drop and see if we get anything. Now I don't know how much we're going to see of the actual drop, because this is so green that it's actually black, but I don't know if you can see right up here on that little bit, but you can see that it is a super dark green. So anyway, like I said, I'm going to let this cool off. Get me some sodium metabisulfite mixed up, and then we're just going to dump it in there and let her rip. So we'll be back at you in a little bit. Okay everybody, an hour or so has passed. It's not ice cold, but I mean, it's, you know, a little bit, I would say a little bit more than room temperature. It's warm, but it's not hot. I didn't even measure this. I just put, I don't know, 2-3 tablespoons of sodium metabisulfite and about 250 mils of distilled water. I did raise this up from 800 to 1200 milliliters with some distilled water. I may have to put more in it, but I want to put this in first. I don't know what our reaction is going to be. I denoxed it. I didn't see, you know, it quit reacting to the urea, so I'm presuming it's denoxed good enough. It is still kind of a weird solution. It's, you know, kind of almost seems like it's sticky. I mean, I know it's thick because it has all the metal in it, but I don't know. And it smells like oil-based paint. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and put this in, and I don't expect much of a change, but we're going to see what happens, because it's just too, you know, it's too dark to see anything really change. I do see some, and it did go brown a little bit. It's not green anymore. It's kind of an olive drab brown. So we are going to get a drop. It's probably going to take a long time for this to drop, because it's going to be a very fine powder because it's so contaminated. I can smell the SMB. So it definitely changed color. I mean, I know you can't see it on there. It just went from green black to brown black. But so I guess we're just going to have to just let this sit and wait. I haven't done the poor man's before like this with using the hydrochloric acid and the potassium nitrate. I did one time do pads from you know, like off of motherboards where the processors go, those little pads, because they're loaded with gold, and it took about 3 days. That was with nitric acid. I didn't do it the way I did this, and it took about 3 days for it to finally settle out. And even then, I left, you know, the pour off to set a few more days and did get a little bit more out of it. So I'm going to just put this up on the shelf. I do see a little bit of gold floating in there, so we may get, you know, this may be worth doing. I don't know. It still smells like oil-based paint. So whatever that was that got dissolved in there was stinky. But anyhow, I'm going to put this on the shelf, and we will come back and check on it in a little while. So we'll be back at you in a bit. Okay, everybody, about an hour has passed, maybe an hour and a half. We're not going to be able to see through this. It's just going to drop out in the bottom, and I'm going to have to pour it off because I don't even see a drop line in this. I think I can see a little bit of powder in the bottom. I'm not sure because you can't really see anything. So we're going to let this go ahead and just settle out. I'm not going to mess with it anymore today. And we'll come out and we'll check it in the morning and see how it looks. So we will get back at you then. Alrighty, everybody, it's the next morning. You can obviously see it got pretty cool last night, which is nice. I can't really tell if we got anything in the bottom there, so I'm just going to pour it off and we'll have a look. So I will be right back at you in just a bit. Okay, one thing I wanted to show you real quick, just before I pour this off, you can see that we do have some powder floating on the top. I've sprayed this down 2 or 3 times, but that's a pretty good indicator that we did get a little bit of gold, and also it's a good indicator that the gold we got is pretty contaminated. When you keep spraying it down and it keeps floating, that tells you that your purity is not up to par. But anyhow, I'm going to pour this off. I'm going to spray this down and let it set for a second. I'm going to pour it off, and we'll see what we got in the bottom of this beaker, because you definitely can't see anything in it right now. So back at you in a bit. Okay, everybody, I don't know how well you can see that. It's staying suspended quite a bit. I'm trying to turn it to show you that we do have a very light dusting of some very dirty gold. I'm debating on whether I want to just try and let that settle out, and you can see it's coming on right up on the top again. I'm going to try and spray it off again and get it to go down, but we didn't get a lot. But now I didn't expect to get a lot. Now what I'd like to do is actually try and get this in a melting dish and see if I can get it melted off, and see what we actually got. I'm going to have to wipe the inside of that beaker down because I know there's gold stuck to the side. So let me see if I can figure this out and actually get this into a dish so we can melt it and see if we got anything. We're gonna, it may come out about 14 karat or something like that. But anyway, let me see if I can manage this and get it set up so we can do that. I'll be back at you in just a bit. Okay, what I've actually done here is I've taken 2 slow filter papers and put them together, and we do seem to be trapping that fine powder in there. Even though that is just a little tiny bit of fluid, you can see how slow this is going. It's going to take forever to filter that off. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and let it do that, but we are trapping it. I can see it getting stuck in the filter. So we're going to go ahead, and however long it takes, we'll go ahead and filter this off. Then what I'm going to do is take that filter, fold it over, and I'm going to wipe the inside of the jar with it. Then we'll put it in a melting dish and we're going to melt it up and see what we got. So after this filters off, it's probably going to take an hour or so, maybe a little longer. We'll be back at you. Okay, as you can see, this finally filtered off. I have some stuff, whoops, that around the edge of that jar, or the edge of the jar, edge of the beaker. You see all that? I'm going to have to wipe all that off with this filter. First, I'm going to try and get it grouped up as best I can down in the bottom. So we still got a little bit more filter time to do here, but we do have a fair amount of powder for no more stuff than we had in there. It should make a little bead. It's not going to be anywhere near pure, but we'll melt it up here in a minute and we'll see what we end up with. I'm going to let that drain through one more time so that I can fold that up real good to wipe that beaker out. Then we'll get set up and we'll go ahead and melt this off. Alrighty guys, we got our powder off, or our filter paper out. I'm going to actually separate this. So we probably didn't really need to. As you can see, nothing made it through. We're going to use this little guy to melt this up. So I'm going to fold this one up like this. We're going to put it in here. That was our solution that we filtered off, our rinsed water. So we can see that that obviously came out real clear, so we trapped everything. This is nice and clean, but I'm going to use this to wipe this beaker out because I know we have some residue in here. And if you can see it, it's actually coming off on the paper. This little filter is actually picking it up. And so we're going to wipe this out thoroughly because I actually want to get a pretty accurate, and I knew there was some powder stuck in there, but I want to get an accurate idea of what we got out of this, being that this is a test. And we're not getting all of that, I can tell you right now. You're never going to get it all. But I'm going to fold this up like this, and I'm going to do it again. But you will never get it all, no matter how hard you try. It's just, some of it just has to be sacrificed. So let me get this set in here, and then get set up, and we're going to go ahead and melt this. Alrighty guys, we are ready to melt our filter papers. So as usual, I'll time lapse this. There's no point in trying to talk when the torch is going. So we'll be back at you in just a bit. Ooh, I can't see, just a red spot. That's all I can see is a red spot. Okay, so we did get a little tiny BB of gold. Nowhere near a half a gram, and nowhere near pure. But we did get a recovery off of it, so we are going to see what it is. We'll take it in and see if we can get it to weigh up. It is highly, highly, highly contaminated. So we'll be lucky if it's around, I don't know, 14 karat gold. maybe 10 karat gold, I don't know, but you can see, remember what I told you about crucibles and the gathering up a lot of the crap? But you can see that that is pretty black, and it was fairly clean when we started, and not just the ash from the filters did that. There was some contaminants in there that actually stuck. So let me get this cleaned up, and we'll go in and see what we got. Okay guys, we're back inside. I got our little BB out of the pickle pot, and I don't know if you can see that or not, but there is our, come here little guy, there is our little BB of gold. I was able to get a hold of it enough to get a scratch on this plate. So first let me weigh this, see what we got. Alright, and we need to put this on grams. May have to weigh it on carats. I don't know if grams is going to do it. Let's put us some dead weight in here so the scale doesn't try to zero out. Well, we got 0.16 grams. So 0.16 grams. And now let's see what karat gold it is. 0.16 grams. That down. 0.16 grams. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to hit it with 10 karat acid. See if it holds. And it is holding under 10 karat acid. So now we'll try a drop of 14. And it is actually holding under 14 karat acid. I'm pretty impressed. So now let's try a little 18. So it's actually, it's holding under 18 karat. Very impressed. I didn't think we would get that high a quality of gold on that. But those, one thing about those little pins is they were very, you know, they're very good pins. They might be small, but the gold, I mean, the gold looks very rich. We actually got it to hold under 18 karat acid, so I'm going to call it 18. I'm not going to try the 22. There's no point. I know it's not going to hold under 22. So we got 18 karat gold, 0.16 divided by 4 equals 0.04 times 3 equals 0.12 grams, 0.12 grams pure. So 0.12 grams times approximately $49 is $5.88 worth of gold in that little bag of stuff. That was less than 3/4 of a pound. So I would say that yes, it is worth it to keep it. It's not going to be worth it to process it with nitric acid. If you use the poor man's aqua regia and you find out or figure out I'm gonna continue to save the stuff, I'm just not going to do it until I have a lot more of it next time. But you know, that's nowhere near a half a gram. It's actually, you know, 0.012 grams. So we would need a pound probably would have gave us 0.15. 0.15, 10 pounds would give us 1.5. So that's not bad. I mean, I would say it's worth doing. If you want to save them up, it is a high yielding gold. Like I said, it held under 18 karat acid. So the gold that is on those little pins is actually good quality gold. So we're just going to throw this in our little vial. That wraps it up. We didn't. If we would have got a half a gram, I'd be pulling that stuff off of every board I could find. But we did get actually 0.12 grams of pure gold out of 11 ounces of that stuff. So that's not too bad, considering the majority of that weight was plastic. Alrighty guys, I'm going to wrap this video up. Like I said, I come to the conclusion that as long as you're processing it with poor man's aqua regia and you're not wasting any nitric acid, I mean, we maybe used half of that in acid and materials to get that little button. So yeah, if you got, you know, 5-10 pounds of it, you're going to get a gram, maybe 2 grams of gold out of it. So definitely worth hanging on to. Alrighty guys, we will see you in the next video.